Wow, this is beautiful, guys. Congratulations, your Joomla site is ready. So it was able to create that database connection to our container instance running MySQL. So this is perfect. By the way, we didn't touch any text editor, which is quite interesting. Hello, this is a tutorial on how to host a Joomla site in Azure. Without any further ado, let's start. So navigate to portal.azure.com and then in the search bar, just search for container instances. And in container instances, this is where we're going to create a container which actually runs MySQL. And that MySQL we're going to use in our Joomla site. So let's see how we do it. Create a new container instance. Select your subscription and your resource group. I'm just going to use a resource group here, which I'm going to remove afterwards. Your container name, just something logical. I can say MySQL and then Joomla. Cool. That's perfect. Just select a place to host it, a region. There we go. We don't need availability zones, and we're going to use a Docker image to create the container. So if you navigate to Docker Hub and search for MySQL, this page will load, and then you can find a tag that you want to use for a particular MySQL version. We're going to go with 8.0.29. That's from hub.docker.com. In the image, we're just going to paste in the tag that we've selected. There we go. We want it in Linux because that matches the Docker images operating system. If you go to your Docker Hub, if we go to the tags tab and click on it and go to a particular tag, we'll see the operating system or architecture. We'll see that it's just Linux all the way. Okay. So, okay, cool. With that set up, what we'll need, this we can leave as default, one virtual CPU and 1.5 gigabytes of memory. We don't need any GPUs, that's okay. Networking, let's see what we need here. We definitely need a public IP address. So we're just going to leave it as public here, DNS name label, just to make things easier for us. We're going to call it MySQL Joomla. There we go. Of course, it should be unique across all of Azure. Right. The port 3306. That's the default port that we're going to expose. That's perfect. Alright, restart policy on failure, that's good enough. Now we're going to put in a few environment variables here which are required. For example, the password. Actually, it's probably only the password. Okay, we're just going to make it a secure value. Paste in the password there. The default username will be root. To get that information, just go to your Docker Hub MySQL page, and if you navigate down, you'll see that the root password is actually required, and some of the others are actually defaults. For example, the username will be root. We'll see under Docker secrets that we have MySQL database as a variable. We're just going to select that and populate it. We'll call it MySQL Joomla. Perfect. Cool. Let's proceed. We don't need tags. Okay, let's create it. We'll just wait for the deployment to complete. Okay, now that the deployment is completed, we'll just go to the resource. Make sure it's running, and as you can see, it's currently running, so that's sorted. The next thing, we're going to create an actual Joomla container instance that'll run the actual website. That'll connect to this particular MySQL container. Let's go. As always, go to the search bar, click on it, go to container instances, or just search for container instances there. Click on it. We're going to create a new one. Select your subscription and your resource group. I'm just going to put them in the same resource group so I can delete them easily afterwards. Your container name, this one we're going to call app Joomla. Cool. Going to put in the same region as the MySQL container instance, and we're going to use Docker Hub again. In this instance, we're going to use the latest version of Joomla. It's actually advisable to put a particular tag rather than latest in case there are breaking changes that, for example, don't support the selected version of MySQL. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Operating system type, of course, Linux. We're just gonna leave defaults here. That's okay. Networking, it's also going to be public. We'll call it Joomla. All right. And ports, port 80 is perfect. Advanced. Restart on failure. So each and every time there's a failure on the container, I'll just restart the container, executing a particular Docker command to recreate the container and execute it from a particular image that we specified. So environment variables, we have a few. The first one is the host. The DB host is the public fully qualified domain name that we've assigned to our MySQL container instance. So yeah, you can use your IP address, but as I mentioned before, it's quite easier to actually use a fully qualified domain name. So let's proceed. We called it MySQL Joomla, and then let's see, MySQL Joomla.east.us.azure container.io. That's perfect. The next environment variable is the database name. We called it MySQL Joomla. The next variable is the database password. And yeah, we're just gonna paste the password there. Make it secure. Alright, everything looks good so far. Let's proceed. Review and create. I actually hope some things go wrong so we can actually demonstrate how to troubleshoot errors. But while it's creating this particular resource, comment in the comment section if you tried it. Did you experience any issues? Did it work flawlessly? And what do you think about the videos? And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Now that the resource deployment is completed, we're just going to go to the resource and make sure that it's running. It's running as you can see it here. And since we have a fully qualified domain name here, we're just going to copy it and paste it in a new tab to see our Joomla site actually running. Just paste it in a new tab. If you experience an error like this, don't panic. I'm glad it happened, so we can show how to troubleshoot it. It's probably Docker still retrieving images for the first time into cache. How you monitor that is you go to your Azure portal, go to your container instance, and in your container instance, I'm just going to zoom out here. So on the left hand pane, you have containers under settings. Just go there. And in the central pane, you'll see logs. Just click on logs. It says ensuring Joomla database is present. Okay, that's cool. Joomla not found there. Copying now. Okay. Let's see if there are any errors. Command line is set. Everything looks to be alright here. Okay, let's just refresh. Alright, as you can see here, it just needed to initialize. So now our site is up and running just like that. We're just going to set a Joomla site name. We'll call it creatively my visual software. Set up login data. Real name of my super user. My visual is fine. Username. My visual is also fine here. We'll use a complex password here. Email address, we'll just put something that doesn't exist. Let's move forward to set up the database connection. In the database connection, we just want MySQL. The host is the host that we specified before in our MySQL container instance. So that will be MySQL joomla.eastus.azurecontainer.io is the username. The username we used there was root, and the password we set was a password that's complex. Alright, the name of the database, MySQL Joomla, and randomly generated one. Yeah, we'll just use that table prefix, that's fine. Or we can actually call it site1 underscore. I'll tell you why. Let's install it. Let's see if it'll connect to our MySQL running in a separate container instance in Azure. Wow, now it's done, eh? Wow, this is beautiful, guys. Congratulations, your Joomla site is ready. So it was able to create that database connection to our container instance running MySQL. So this is perfect. By the way, we didn't touch any text editor, which is quite interesting. This is only in a browser and using the portal. So let's open administrator to see if everything works. The password, I hope I copied it correctly. Perfect. This is the admin. This is perfect, guys. As you can see, Joomla is running, and we have our own fully qualified domain name. Now, this is running a container instance. If you want more functionality and more control using an app service, this is how you do it.